At West Point, they taught us a speech by MacArthur that started out, "Duty, honor, country." I liked the idea of being of service to my country. I liked integrity, the duty, the honor, the responsibility. That's why people join the military, well, the majority anyway, not to go off to kill people, but because they want to defend the Constitution. They want to defend democracy. And I was idealistic, like the rest of my classmates.
I was a naval officer. I volunteered for shore duty in Vietnam. I went there believing our cause was noble, as so many of us did. Vietnam was a turning point in my life. It was in Vietnam for the first time that I began to question my country's foreign policy.
I unfortunately was pretty ignorant and uninformed as a young person. I simply joined the military to get the money to finish college. And I have changed from being a knee-jerk patriot who supports whatever I'm told should be done by my leaders I have changed to being an informed critic.
On the morning of 7 December 1967, Company A came under intense fire. Chaplain Charles Litke began moving upright through the enemy fire, administering last rites to the dying and evacuating the wounded. It was discovered that Captain Litke had personally carried 20 men to the landing zone for evacuation during the savage fighting.
These soldiers,
Captain Litke received the Congressional Medal of Honor,
of supreme testing,
the first chaplain to receive that honor as a live soldier since the Civil War.
and respect, and an overpowering pride in all of us.
What a waste of young life. I didn't know what my government was doing at that time.
I wasn't aware of a lot of things when I was in the military. Political consciousness was not really raised until I had gone to Mexico and El Salvador. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even aware that we were involved in the war in El Salvador.
I served in South Korea, and there had been a coup in 1979, US-backed, and a new puppet regime had been installed. Obviously, not all Koreans were happy about that, and more than 2,000 of them were mowed down, killed by Korean troops. And it blew over rather quickly, and I didn't think much more about it. But it certainly planted the seeds in my mind and in my heart. It is so very much like the horrors all over Central and South America.
Patriotism, I don't feel, is just blindly going off to a country and believing your leaders. No, it's looking for the truth. It's really asking some hard questions. Just a couple miles beyond this fence, there is a school, a combat school, that trains every year hundreds of soldiers from Latin America. It's still known as the School of the Americas. Most of the courses revolve around what they call counterinsurgency warfare. Who are the insurgents? They are the poor. They are the people in Latin America who call for reform. They are the landless peasants who are hungry. They are healthcare workers, human rights advocates, labor organizers. They are seen as the enemy.
I served in the United States Army from 1968 to 1989. My very last assignment was as a political military officer and instructor at the School of the Americas from 1986 to 1989. I served with the U.S. Army officer who both developed the curriculum to teach torture techniques, physical abuse, false imprisonment, infiltration of unions. I have not gone through any transformation with regard to my knowledge and understanding of the role Latin American military have played in their own country. Long before I got to the School of the Americas, I was well aware of what the Latin American military were in their own countries. And at the school, I was critical of Latin American military from day one.
We have documented hundreds of these soldiers who have returned to their home countries and have killed tens of thousands of their people. A few of the well-known victims, 4 church women from our country who were raped and killed by graduates of this school. Archbishop Oscar Romero, a great defender of the poor in El Salvador, killed while saying Mass in church. And 6 Catholic priests of the Jesuit order, along with their co-worker and her 15-year-old daughter, Selena. Those responsible trained at what we see as a school for terrorists, a training camp for terrorists, and we want that school shut down.
A lot of us know about the school of terrorism that has been paid for by the U.S. taxpayer ever since the end of the Second World War.
Here, at the School of the Americas, we train people in low-intensity conflict. That is what terrorism is. Conflict or war against the civilian population.
Two airplanes? Oye, Mari, chocaron 2 aviones.
The tower fell. The left tower.
Americans have known surprise attacks, but never before on thousands of civilians. All of this was brought upon us in a single day, and night fell on a different world.
Terrorism wasn't just that plane falling from the sky. Terrorism is the knot I feel in my stomach. Every time I look up and hear a plane, that's terrorism. When I go to bed at night and I have nightmares like I've never had in my life, that's terrorism. It's in everybody here tonight.
Every one of the innocents who died on September the 11th was the most important person on earth to somebody. Every death extinguished a world.
grieve and mourn for the 4,000 killed by the terrorists here in our country. At the same time, we cannot forget the 75,000 killed in El Salvador, the 200,000 killed in Guatemala, and the thousands who are being killed today in Colombia. Their lives are no less precious than the thousands killed by the terrorists here at home.
So long as training camps operate, so long as nations harbor terrorists, freedom is at risk, and America and our allies must not and will not allow it. We will shut down terrorist camps, disrupt terrorist plans, and bring terrorists to justice.
Well, I hope that effort to put an end to terrorism is going to include terrorism wherever we find it, including right here in the United States, down at Fort Benning, Georgia. When I was participating in the Vietnam conflict, I felt good about the fact that I was there doing something that was necessary, trying to stop or contain communism in that part of the world. And then I finally came to realize what it was all about. It was all about money. In the Middle East now, in Central Asia, it's all about money in the form of black gold, oil.
Gracias, mi general. These soldiers go back to their home countries in Latin America. And they really protect the economic interest of the United States and the big corporations and the sweatshops. They provide the muscle for our country's foreign policy.
It's pretty obvious that the U.S. has a responsibility. And I feel, as a citizen and as a veteran, I feel a responsibility. And it is the height of patriotism to express my distress with my U.S. government's policy.
To me, patriotism means a love of my country. It doesn't mean a love of my government. And I have been out of love with the activities of my government ever since I was awakened about 20 years ago to the barbarity of the Vietnamese War. I think the true love of our country is engaging in authentic and productive dissent. Without dissent, we don't have democracy.
On behalf of the SOA Watch, we say welcome, bienvenido.
They simply continue to teach the very things that were taught 10 and 15 years ago. What they actually do is give lip service to the idea of teaching democracy and human rights.
I recently had a trip down to Colombia. And it broke my heart. The same thing seems to be happening in Colombia that happened in El Salvador 10 years earlier. It's a counterinsurgency warfare and against the poor of the country. At School of the Americas, half of the soldiers that we graduate are from Colombia.
We now begin the solemn funeral procession onto Fort Benning.
The cross represents Ava, killed by graduates of the School of the Americas.
Oscar Romero,
When I came down to the protests in November, I brought my last Army jacket. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it, but when I got here, I decided that I wanted to put it on the fence as a sign to say, I no longer believe that military solutions do anything but kill brothers and sisters of mine. I was thinking that it was kind of a coming home for both my jacket and for me. Laying my military history to rest, saying I can now move forward and say, I'm going to be an advocate, I'm going to pick up with both hands nonviolence and work with that.
And many veterans today and thousands of us who are speaking out against our country's foreign policy in this training camp with the terrorists that we run here on U.S. soil. This is what patriotism is all about.
Closing down schools like the School of the Americas, now called Western Hemispheric Institute for Security Cooperation, is very important. And if that school is ever closed and we become aware of other schools, which we will, we'll have to try to close those too.
Bring your loved ones, bring your children. We are going to keep coming and coming until this school of assassins is shut down.